Hello, everyone. Happy Halloween's Eve, and welcome to another horror review. Apologies for being a few minutes late, but the movie literally just finished. Ran over a wee bit of time, but yeah, good. Just seemed right. It just seemed the appropriate movie to do for this time of year because why not? So we're talking about The Exorcist, absolute classic. I can't remember when it first was. I mean, this it was made in 1973. Absolute icon in cinema, and anything else that's copied, it's been a pale in comparison. One of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of like Exorcist type movies that have come out because they're nothing compared to this one, and they usually he starts off priest, failed exorcism, becomes an alcoholic, another demon regains their faith. Every other movie of this genre, because it has spanned the whole genre of movies. They're afraid, I think, to touch this one, but what they do instead is worse than just always a cheap imitation. But yeah, for those that haven't seen it, this it's an interesting one. But don't just jump straight in. It'd be so easy for this movie to just jump in and go with the jump scares and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't. What it does, and I think what makes it stand the test of time, is we get to know the characters. So essentially, it tells three stories. For a second, I'm going to forget. We start off, we've got Father Murrin. He's over in an archaeological dig in sort of Kurdish area in northern Iraq. This is something he is devoted the rest of his life to. We find out later he has actually experienced Exorcist. But this is what he's doing. He's going around just looking for relics, and that's writing books and sort of pass his time. And that's when he comes across the sort of fetish of Azuzel, and we get that whole depiction of him actually finding the bust of the demon and then finding the full-size statue and sort of leads him off there. So we'll get the introduction to Father Murrin, which is good because they could have just had him turn up, which a lot of movies do since they just have the Exorcist turn up and no nothing about them. So we're getting to see this. We're getting an idea of what's happening, and then we jump and we see Michael Karras, Father Karras, and we sort of see his story. And he doesn't run a parish. What he is, he's a psychiatrist in I don't know what to call it, like the university with a trained priest, but particularly university. So he's essentially a parishioner for trainee parishioners. So he psychologically evaluates them and sort of because obviously, I guess, in that sort of stuff, you're tested in that respect. And then we jump over, and then we get the sort of build up at the main story with the McNeils. So you have Chris McNeil and her daughter Reagan, and it does a good setup because what you're getting to see is the sort of family dynamic. Yeah, she's an actress. They're a rich family, moved into the house with servants, etc. But even with that, we see a close bond. Now, here's a character I couldn't get my head around, was Sharon. Because I couldn't quite figure out, was she supposed to be the older sister? I know it's been years since I've seen this here, but she's like an older sister type character. Is in the house, but there's something a bit off with it as well, as if she's not, she's part of the household, like the staff or something. Weird dynamic the way they sort of play it, because it straight out looks as if she is the older sister until towards the end, which was interesting. So this is sort of going on, and we've got Karras. He's going through his sort of thing. So there's no way really for them to converge at this moment, which is interesting. Each one's following their own story. Karras finds out his mother's passed away. So I don't know where this place is. It's Woodfield or Woodburn or something, but it's not. It's a suburb on its own. Carson's his mother's in New York. He's sort of conflicted because she doesn't want to leave her home. He's posted away from her. She won't go into a facility, and can't afford to give her, like top-notch care because it's out of remit. So that whole thing leads to him feeling guilty about her. So it's a good build-up though, because you get the sort of emotional context of Karen and why he's conflicted. I think he's at the end of, he can't, the fact he's been put in a position because of his job at the church and stuff, he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. Which is fair enough if he was in any profession that led that away, and especially being put in that position, you question anything. But it's really important in context of this. We don't really see much of. We get a good enough intro for Father Merrin, and then we don't see him for the rest of the movie. So it's not like it's. Do you know, a lot of movies try to over-explain too much. We see him having a counter, and then he kind of, vanishes from the movie because then it focuses on Karras's character, what's going on in his life, and then the family dynamic. We know the father is in Europe and won't even ring his daughter for her birthday and stuff. Just, you got that sort of conflict there as well, but there's still love in the family. It all comes to a head when they're having a party at the house, and it turns out this guy, Burke Dennings, he's the director of the movie, and McNeil's the lead actress in it. They're having this party to whatever actors and stuff do. Reagan then appears and she just wets herself while saying they're all going to die, and this is the first signs of possession. After that, it was just taken as a psychological incident, and she's bundled away, trying to figure out what's happening, and then we'll start to see the slow degeneration of Reagan. And then we start to see medical science come in and trying to determine what this is. We also find out through the course of this, because they're trying everything under the sun. They're seeing her perform feats of like immense strength that doesn't make sense. And then there's this incident where McNeil's been out. That was it. Sharon, I think Sharon's a servant, but she had a weird dynamic as a sort of, looks as if she was an older sister or something, but yeah, no, I think about it. No, I think she's a little house staff. She went out to get her prescription. She left there with somebody else, but he left the house, so effectively the house was empty. When they come back, there's a whole scene of chaos at the bottom, with the police, and Denning's body's found at the bottom of the stairs. Now, we don't get any context of what happened. We don't see it. And that's sort of the mystery. Reagan's condition then escalates. Sort of shows how powerful as well, because she's paying for all this medical stuff, and she's actually sitting with like a team of psychiatrists, not just one, but like there's a whole team of them who's carried out this barrage of tests, and it's actually one of them suggests either she gets committed, or the try as a last resort an exorcism, because it's seen a case. I think they're referring to the case in Africa that Miriam was involved in. I think that's kind of the roundabout way they did it, or something. I think that case was famous. That they're talking about, but basically saying, if you're religious, have an exorcism, because psychologically it might just be the Kickstarter that gets her out of it. But it's the whole build up to that. This is about halfway through the movie, so it's a slow burner. If you haven't seen this before, or it's been a while, that you're not getting all the shocks and bumps and stuff at the very beginning. They're even like partway into the movie, like a lot of Exorcist movies do now. This is a slow burn right up to the halfway point, and even then it's still going along with the signs of she might be mentally ill. Go that route. And also the Catholic Church is talking about, basically saying they don't do exorcisms anymore, they haven't been performed. But even if there were, there are all these tests would happen first, that make references not the 16th century, so they're sort of making reference to the Spanish Inquisition and all that, not good times if you're living under that regime. But yeah, this is all a slow burn. Karis then, she approaches Karis and asks him just to at least see her, even as a psychiatrist. And this is where the interplay starts happening, because he goes in and obviously Reagan or Zuzu says hello, priest, and all that kind of stuff, and mentions his mother and stuff that hadn't been imparted to her, personal, and then that starts him thinking. He visits her on a number of occasions, and then he records her speaking and all that kind of stuff, and that's where he presents his evidence. It's then decided, obviously, to go ahead with the exorcism, and this is where it's cool, because Marin is it's the title, The Exorcist. It's not the exorcism, it's the exorcist. Marin is actually the main character in this, but he's so understated and brought in that it's actually poignant that he's brought in, where like today a lot of main, like the main protagonist or the hero or the special characters treated like almost with disdain, but there's a build up to him arriving, and that's where you get obviously the iconic scene with the mist that I'm coming out and the briefcase. This is 3/4 of the movie, by the way. This isn't like boom straight away opening scene. There's a whole build up to him arriving, and there's no real, like, the music in this. It's Tubular Bells, obviously Michael Oldfield, but it's understated, and it's not the sort of crash bang what you get today, or it's not super dramatic. It's all understated. It's all taking you along, coasting at that easy pace. They're ramping you up for the confrontation, and you think that if you're in the 70s, imagine being 73 and going to see this in cinema for the first time, you would be gripped. You can understand why there was like a mania after this, and people just lost their mind, because this is excellent storytelling, and that's what there's some special effects, but very few. This is all pure character-driven storytelling and bringing you along for the ride, and you're invested. Like, even watching this again after, I don't know when I last watched it, 5 years ago or something, you're still there. You're still with it. Doesn't matter how many times you watch this. The way the story's told. Oh, our daughter, evenings. Hi, man. Thanks for coming in. Like I was just saying, you're there because of the storytelling. You are invested. It's just done so well. They can't do that today. They cannot do that with movies today. They've lost the art of actually just having characters tell a story and treating it with the right pacing. Because this would be the right pace. If you think about this, if this was happening in real life and the sort of test and the consideration, this would be over months. This wouldn't just be like, a lot of movies now can't get their timings, can't give you a sense of timing. Everything, if it's a 90-minute movie, everything feels as if it's happening in the 90 minutes, just, rushed and crammed and disjointed with the sort of pacing. But this, you can feel the sort of torturous events that are going on, and you can see Reagan as well slowly degrading as this carries on. She is losing a bit of herself each time. She stopped being Reagan about a quarter, about a third into the story, say. She stopped actually being Reagan and became Reagan imprisoned in her own body by Azuzel. But you see the sort of worrying effect. And it makes you wonder as well, what is the demon's goal? That's, I know it's explored, and I got a box set, by the way, and I just realized I got much more in the box set than what I thought. I thought it was just the 3 movies, or 4 movies. It's a prequel as well, and it's a load of special features on a disc on its own. There's like 6 disc set. So I'm going to be exorcised out by the end of next week. So expect to see me back going over the rest of them. but you don't really get that sense of what the demon wants. And that's frightening. When you don't understand what the motivations of the antagonist is, when you don't understand what they're after, therefore you can't placate it, you can't bargain, you can't offer something else. You're just totally, in the dark about what's going on. That's frightening. And when something's showing complete power and no remorse, not showing any of the emotions that a human would, and even so much sees your own emotions and feelings as playthings, and that is terrifying book, because it's just that feeling of powerlessness, and that's horror. Horror is that sort of feeling of powerlessness against something else that's just playing with you, and you can try, but you've really no chance. You always feel like you're in a losing battle, and that's the whole sense here with this. There's Chris as well. So welcome. Chat's getting busy. But yeah, you get that sense of this is all last resort type stuff. There's nobody swaggering in here. I'm here to save the day. Even Father Murrin, he's on his last legs. He is reluctantly coming. It's a sense of duty. It makes him, and even after his encounter start, this isn't a defrock priest. This isn't somebody testing. This is somebody who's absolutely sure in what he does, but he's been battling long and hard. But he's still got that fight in him. Now, Karis, in the other sense, he's broken. He's like that, like one breath from. He'd already said he's questioning his faith. He spoke to his friend and having doubts, and just the whole thing's wearing on him. The death of his mother, and he's just not in the zone whatsoever. He's the weak link. I already know this before going in. So you've already got this sense of hopelessness, and even the fact there's a bit of interplay between the two of them. Now, there's no disrespect, or I think that's a wonderful thing as well, because I'm so bored with the always usurping power. This obsession people have with power at the moment, and structures and stuff. And I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a Christian of any sort. But you can appreciate in the storytelling. You let all that go when you go into the storytelling aspect, and you know that they have faith in each other, and they have, in this setting, obviously, they have structure, there's reason, and there's respect. And you have this when Murrin and Karis meet for the first time, and Murrin just comes in, he hears the groaning that from Reagan upstairs. It's echoing all over the house, and the family's done, not just family, the servants, they've done this job that their nerves are shattered, and you just get this whole sense of dread throughout the house. And Karis is like, "Do you want me to fill you in?" He's like, "No need." He just takes one look, and he's like, "No need." He knows. There's no question of it. Even though we're seeing them go through, and they close the door and go in and start the ritual, there's no doubt in Marin's mind what he's dealing with. And even when the demon's starting to do his tricks and everything else, he's just going through with it. It's actually Karis is the weaker one. Even during Azazel hasn't attacked him directly at this point, but even just during the ritual, and he's assistant, he's already starting to crack. He just doesn't have the strength to do it. And that's the way that's done, so powerful. And I mean, even turn the music down. And yes, this is where the thing ramps up in terms of special effects. And anyone's a horror fan, seeing all the tropes and everything else, we know what it entails. But seeing it there and the purpose behind it, it's not just done for jump scares. And it's actually, believe it or not, these effects are subtly done. You know why they overdo them now? Even the vomiting scene, there's so much parody out there, you forget how strong this is in the original movie. And you forget that it comes with purpose, and it's the fact that they're actually battling a demon who's trying to hold on to Reagan's body and soul. And it's all done with conviction and the holy water, and actually the holy water leaving the welts and stuff. Like, you think it's 1973. You see those effects. Like, they can't do those effects today. without them looking cheap and nasty. And you know it's CGI. That's the thing. You see effects of it and you know it's CGI, but they've done this practically, and bed lifts and everything else, and it's all done and it's believable. Even now, that this movie holds up and it's amazing how it does. And the version I watched, the 25th anniversary edition, the sound was just the sound was upgraded, but not the actual visuals. So I'm not watching it in 4K or anything. I'm watching the original version basically, and it still bloody holds up. And that's testament to good, good craftsmanship. When you have people invested in telling a story, and I got the wee intro by the director before it started. There's somebody that wants to tell a story, and he's even saying, "Yes, you might take this from it, but I hope you take this as what we're trying." But obviously, it's up to your interpretation stuff. Instead of today, they're trying to you will see what I see, or else I hate your guts. That's why this movie is still around and will still freak people out. If you're new to the horror genre, this isn't a beginner movie. I know I've talked about certain movies and that you can jump in. This is a well-known movie, but this is not for beginners of the horror genre or people who are maybe, let's say, a little sensitive. We've talked about sensitivity in horror. If you've are a sensitive disposition, this isn't one for you, because the way it's done and the acting of the wee girl, what would you call her? Linda Blair, who plays Reagan, was brilliant. She's playing a 12-year-old girl. She looks like a 12-year-old girl, but yet there's adult themes and stuff, and it's just disturbing. It's not where you have your 35-year-old teenager in like slasher movies and stuff. This is proper. If it was happening to your daughter, you'd be in bits. You'd be freaking out, especially the cross scene, which, if I remember rightly, they did show in the original. It got censored and banned. This movie got banned, I think, then had to get re-edited. Like a softer version went out, and then they were able to, I think with DVD, obviously, and home video, they were able to bring out the full version. Yeah, it's a rough movie, but it's brilliantly told, and that it's not done for shock purposes, not torture porn. It's done to give you that sense of dread and urgency and hopelessness. And then, against all odds, Karras breaks. He's actually sent out of the room because he's becoming a liability, because the demon's able to get into his head, using his mother against him. By doing that, he dooms Marin. And that's basically the story. He, by breaking and not having his faith and not being resolute in the face of adversity and almost arrogance, you could think of his arrogance of, I want to perform the exorcism, instead of, this is way out of my league. I'm not strong enough. We need somebody in there, we need two priests in there. I need to not be in there because I'm going to be a liability. And that's hard. It sounds good in paper, but that's a bloody hard thing to do. That's a hard thing to admit your weaknesses and actually, and especially if you're someone who is a problem solver, and him, he's a pastor, he's a psychiatrist, he's a caregiver. For someone to step out of that role, to say, I can't give care to this person because I cannot do it, that's bloody hard, and that's actually brought across. And then the fact that he was forcibly stepped out, he knew himself, and by going back into the fight again, he'd actually already doomed, because Miriam was dead, when he goes back into the room. Then, of course, we got the final scene, which, one of the most iconic scenes in horror. And there's not even a lot of gore. That's the thing. He grabs the demon, he starts, and then tells the demon, basically, go on me instead, take me. As anyone, even if you haven't seen this movie, you know that scene where he tells the demon to go inside him. Demon does, and just before it takes over, he throws himself out the window. We get it at the end, sort of epilogue with, see, who's the other? O'Malley. Is Karras' friend, who basically backed him up when he said he wanted an exorcism. He takes his last rites. He sees the family afterwards. They say goodbye, and then that's it. They drive off, and then movie finishes, and you get that sense that like there's no happy ending. Yeah, Reagan is free of the demon, and she's no memory of it, but there's no happiness with it. Like they're moving out of the house because obviously their work's done, etc. But to stay there is just not feasible. The mother, Chris, is broken. She's not the same after Reagan's okay. The staff, the girl Sharon, she doesn't want to go with her. That's what it is. She quits, and she's like, "Nah, I'm done." And there's just an unhappiness as they leave. So nobody really won. It wasn't like your classic good versus evil. It was the telling of a tragic event, and people essentially being put through the ringer, not just physically but emotionally as well. And I suppose the best way to describe it, people who have actually seen the face of evil, in that context, if that's something I think stays with you, you see that. But yeah, it's amazing how this movie stands up. Even you stick it in it. I challenge anyone to watch this movie and not be affected by it, or be invested in the plot. I challenge anyone because it's just such an iconic movie, and it is that it's not nostalgia bait, because how some movies are hit the nostalgia train, and you watch them again, and if you look at it under a critical eye, you're like, yeah, nah, that didn't hold up. This one's different. Like this has you there. It's just that, and I think it's the understated way it does it. Everything's so soft. Everything's so soft and gradual, and even the confrontation is like it could have been blowing things up and stuff, but it wasn't. It was all in the context of the bedroom and that, and it works. But there you go. That is that. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you've watched this again, especially for Halloween. Be rude not to. It's one of them movies that you definitely have to. But yeah, if you watched this again recently, do you agree with what I said? Did you get the same sort of effect from it? Do you get a different experience? Do you different interpretation or how it turned out? Obviously interested to hear your thoughts. Tomorrow night, I put a post up earlier. I'm going to be on Brotherhood of the Dice's channel. We are doing Hallows Eve. We're doing a Shiver game. I haven't played Shiver system, so that'll be interesting to do. Looking forward to that there. If you saw my unboxing video of the Shiver rulebook, so this is my first chance to actually play the game. So quite excited about that. I'll probably try and jump on during the day. I'll do something anyway. Probably quick. Play another shitty game maybe. God, if you saw that one earlier, God, that was terrible. I've uninstalled that. That was absolutely rubbish. And we've lots more coming up as always. So, as always, keep up to date with the channel, do the typey clicky things. And until next time, keep it creepy, keep it horrific.